Hello guys, welcome back to our anime explainer. Guys, please like the video and subscribe to my channel. Today is explanation of Soul Land 2 Peerless Tang Men based on novel. So let's start. He was even more in awe when he drew closer. This golden tortoise was probably like a king among golden tortoises. The gold on its shell was extremely proportionate and deep, and every shell line was dark gold. There weren't any flaws at all. It was unbelievable that a creature like this was experiencing a huge dissipation of its life energy. The golden tortoise didn't react to Shusansha, and only remained where it was quietly. It gave off a very lazy feeling. Shusansha was confused as he asked, "Brother, can you reveal your head? Let us talk. You can tell me what you want. I'll do my best to fulfill your wishes, how about that? Otherwise, I'll find another pretty tortoise to be my second spirit, okay? Although my spiritual power isn't very strong, there shouldn't be any problem with Yuhao's help. Tortoises don't have immense spiritual power, either. All of you are only lucky. It'll be great to have a partner." Jiang Nan had followed Shusansha over, and wasn't too far away from him. After hearing his words, she couldn't help but furiously comment, "Do you think everyone is as lecherous as you?" Shusansha replied, "No matter how lecherous I am, I only love you." He laughed as he turned around to give Jiang Nan a flying kiss. Jiang Nan was a little stunned. She looked at him in a daze. Shusansha was perplexed as he asked, "Are you that touched? I'll kiss you later." Jiang Nan pointed towards something behind him. Shusansha immediately turned back around, and saw the golden tortoise's head poking out of its shell. The golden tortoise's head was different from the head of an ordinary turtle. There were 3 ridges on it, and it wasn't oval like a turtle's, instead being slightly triangular in shape. There were even a few barbs that resembled whiskers at the bottom of its head. Its entire head was dark gold. The further down its head, the brighter the gold was. It was just that this golden tortoise didn't seem to be in very good spirits. It looked very lifeless, and seemed to be out of energy even as it poked its head out of its shell. Brother, you are finally out. Are you a man of your word?" the golden tortoise asked in a low, muffled voice. Shusansha was stunned. "You can speak our language." Although it wasn't in very good spirits, it still managed to lift its head proudly. Golden tortoises are the smartest among all tortoises. Shusansha sighed, while golden tortoises are the smartest, they are still tortoises. The golden tortoise shouted angrily, "You're underestimating me." Shusansha rushed to shake his head and said, "Of course not. I'm just curious as to why a handsome, suave, elegant, and talented golden tortoise like you hasn't been able to find a partner." The golden tortoise was stunned. "How did you know that I haven't been able to find a partner?" It was naturally very accepting of Shusansha's compliments, and it seemed much friendlier now. Shusansha chuckled. "Otherwise, why would you rush out so anxiously when I mentioned finding you a pretty tortoise?" The golden tortoise snorted and said, "I couldn't find a partner because my aura was too strong. No pretty tortoise dared to get close to me. If you want to absorb a second spirit in the future, I must approve of it first." Shusansha quickly came to the golden tortoise's side and asked, "Brother, are you hiding something from me? Can I help you in any way?" The golden tortoise twisted its head and looked at Bai Ji, who wasn't very far away, before replying, "Before we fuse, please ask all the emerald swans to leave. Also, I don't wish for any other soul beast to be around." "Oh?" Shusansha was truly stunned this time. Logically speaking, soul beasts should be very willing for other soul beasts to be with them when they underwent spirit fusion, especially the emerald swans, which were powerful soul beasts in terms of healing. They were best able to ensure the safety of other soul beasts. However, this golden tortoise didn't want any emerald swans to be present. This was very weird. However, Shusansha still nodded in agreement, then turned his head in Huo Yuhao's direction. Huo Yuhao's spiritual power continued to engulf the entire place, and he nodded back. Huo Yuhao wasn't afraid of this golden tortoise causing trouble. Given the abilities of this golden tortoise, every human present was able to easily kill it. Shusansha wouldn't have chosen it if not for the fact that it could help Shusanshi's martial soul evolve. Bai Ji naturally heard its words, and furrowed her brow slightly. However, she didn't say anything. Given how this golden tortoise's life energy was dissipating, it wasn't very useful to the great star Do forest anymore. With her cultivation, she didn't think that there was much about this golden tortoise that she should have to be concerned about. At this moment, she continued, and introduced the third soul beast present to Jiang Nan Nan. Beside this heavenly dragon horse, is a ruby soft tendon python. It has a 30,000-year cultivation. It hasn't reached the end of its life, it's just that it has been tormented by its injuries ever since it was hurt the last time. Because its injuries are too serious, I can only preserve its life. However, it's in danger of dying at any time. Ruby soft tendon pythons are very adept at close combat fighting, especially among python-type soul beasts. This python was hurt by a transcendent Doluo from Shrek City. If it can become your spirit, it will be very useful, and give you an overall increase in your abilities. This ruby soft tendon python can confer great confusion-type abilities. More importantly, it can be part of your fighting strength, and directly help you fight. Ruby soft tendon pythons are extremely spiritual. Their brains aren't as small as ordinary python-type soul beasts, they are as large as human brains. Previously, there was a case of a ruby soft tendon python becoming the spirit of a soul master, and both of them managed to become telepathic with each other. Not only did that python give that soul master soul skills, but it also managed to learn a soul skill from the soul master. This python has a 30,000-year cultivation. If it can become linked with you, your fighting strength will undoubtedly increase. Thank you, Elder Bai Ji, Jiang Nan Nan said to Bai Ji respectfully. From Bai Ji's introduction of these three soul beasts, it showed that she had gone to great lengths to gather them. These three soul beasts were especially suitable for Bei Bei, Shu Sansha, and Jiang Nan Nan. They had many similarities to their martial souls. Bai Ji said, "Let's start, then. Since the golden tortoise doesn't want me to be present, it shall be the last to fuse. I still have to take care of the other two. Jiang Nan Nan, you can interact with this ruby soft tendon python for a while first." "All right." Jiang Nan Nan slowly walked towards the python. Although it was seriously injured, the look in its eyes was still very sharp. When it saw Jiang Nan Nan walking over, it lifted its head and bared its fangs at her. Shu Sansha was immediately drawn over, and internally accumulated his soul power. If this python tried to harm Jiang Nan Nan, he would attack it immediately. To him, there was nothing more important than Jiang Nan Nan's safety. Jiang Nan Nan wasn't too alarmed, though. She slowly extended her hands out and said softly, "How are you? I don't have any ill intentions. You don't have to be so nervous." The python stared coldly at Jiang Nan Nan. Jiang Nan Nan could sense its hostility and sighed. "I'm sorry. It's humans that harmed you so seriously. I can sense your hatred for humans. If possible, I'm more willing to help heal your injuries rather than make you my spirit. Ever since the spirit pagoda was constructed, I've begun to understand that the relationship between humans and soul beasts shouldn't be like it was before. Killing has only filled both parties with hatred, and influenced the ecological balance of the entire world. I, Jiang Nan Nan, hereby swear today that I won't ever kill another soul beast to obtain a soul ring again. If I betray this promise, I'll be condemned." She was very decisive when she said her vow. Evidently, she had been thinking about this for some time. After hearing her words, the python wasn't the only one that was astonished. Even Bai Ji, the heavenly dragon horse, and the golden tortoise couldn't help but be moved. How many years had it been? The hatred between soul beasts and humans had existed forever. Ever since the beginning, soul beasts were food for humans and vice versa. Slowly, human soul masters hunted soul beasts to obtain soul rings. There was a huge conflict between both parties that couldn't be resolved. Even with the appearance of the spirit pagoda, the conflict between soul beasts and soul masters was only slightly alleviated. Everyone knew that this conflict couldn't be resolved, at least for now. Jiang Nan Nan had 6 rings now. This meant that she needed another 3 soul rings if she wanted to become a titled Doluo. This ruby-soft tendon python had a 30,000-year cultivation, and so could only give her 2 soul rings, at most. She even had to choose on her own. If she gave up hunting soul beasts, Jiang Nan had to take a risk to fuse with another spirit, if she wanted to obtain her final soul ring. Given her spiritual power, she might not be able to do this in the future. Her martial soul was still inferior to the likes of Bei Bei, Shu Sanxia, and Huo Yuhao. All along, Jiang Nanan's abilities were one of the weakest among the Shrek's 7 monsters. She might even be the weakest. Under such circumstances, she actually swore not to kill soul beasts in the future. This showed her determination and her sincerity to make amends. How could this not move all these sentient soul beasts? Shu Sanxia and Bei Bei looked at each other, both in admiration of her. Bei Bei nodded and said, Nan is right. It's not only her, I'll also do the same. In the future, I'll never kill another soul beast to obtain another soul ring. If I betray this promise, I shall be condemned. Shu Sanxia stood up and looked at Jiang Nan. A husband follows his wife's wishes. Nanan's decision is also my decision. I also swear that I won't kill another soul beast to obtain a soul ring. If I do so, Nan will leave me forever. Bei Bei was stunned as he looked at him. He understood that this vow was much worse and more vicious than condemnation to Shu Sanxia. Huo Yuhao revealed a comforted smile on his face as dim lights flashed. This was what he had hoped to see. At the same time, he nodded. I, Huo Yuhao, also swear that I won't kill another soul beast to obtain a soul ring. If I betray this vow, I shall be condemned. I'll do my best to help humans and soul beasts fuse peacefully with each other, creating spirits. Bai Ji's eyes were a little red and she muttered, although it's only the few of you who have sworn this today, I believe this is a huge step towards peace between soul beasts and humans. Right here, I also declare, on behalf of all the soul beasts in the Great Star Do Forest, that all of you here will be respected guests of the Great Star Do Forest. When you need spirits, we'll do our best to coordinate and give you priority. Bei Bei stood up and looked at Bai Ji seriously. Elder Bai Ji, although I can't guarantee anything now, I promise on behalf of the Tang sect that I'll restrict everyone from the Tang sect to only obtaining soul rings through spirits. Even those whose cultivations are slightly weaker must try their best to reduce any killings. We have no way of influencing others, but we are willing to be role models for other humans in this aspect. Bai Ji's voice trembled slightly. She looked at Bei Bei and nodded slowly. Thank you, thank all of you. I can sense your sincerity. This shall be the beginning. As she spoke, she walked in front of the 3 soul beasts. There was a dominant look in her eyes. The 3 of you have heard their words too. I'm delighted for the 3 of you today, that you can meet such humans. I believe that the 3 of you know what choice to make, even if I don't say anything. The 3 soul beasts silently nodded their heads. Even the ruby-soft tendon python, which had seemed very hostile earlier, appeared much friendlier now. It was much more willing to get close to Jiang Nan now. After all, she was the one who had started the series of vows. It wasn't far-fetched to say that she was the one who had started everything, which led to the series of changes that happened after that. Bai Ji said, all right, let's start now. Who wants to go first? The heavenly dragon horse forcefully stood up, and let out a soft dragon roar before it rubbed its head against Bei Bei's shoulder. Bai Ji smiled slightly, as she retreated and gestured for it to proceed. Bei Bei touched the neck of the heavenly dragon horse lightly, and followed it to the center of the magical formation of the spirit transmission hall. After that, he stood in front of the heavenly dragon horse. Huo Yuhao also came over and stood beside them. He revealed a slight smile on his face and said to Bei Bei, eldest senior, are you prepared? Bei Bei nodded. Huo Yuhao then turned his attention to the heavenly dragon horse, and it roared. Huo Yuhao nodded and said, all right, I'm going to begin. Suddenly, the heavenly dragon horse roared again. Compared to before, it sounded much sharper this time. Huo Yuhao was a little confused as he looked at it. He could sense that it felt very close to Bei Bei right now, but he couldn't understand what it was trying to say. Bai Ji said, it wants Bei Bei to put his hand on the gem on its forehead. Bei was astonished as he looked at the heavenly dragon horse. The heavenly dragon horse nodded gently at him. Such a proud heavenly dragon horse actually permitted a human to place his hand on the gem on its forehead, which was supposed to be the most painful spot when touched. What did this mean? It meant that it had completely accepted Bei. Bei was delightfully surprised by this. With such a recognition, it was impossible that the pact between them would fail. Bei looked at the heavenly dragon horse and nodded strongly. He lifted his right hand and carefully placed his hand on the gem on its forehead. The heavenly dragon horse moved slightly. In the next moment, Bei felt intense soul power undulations surging from the gem. Following this, a layer of golden light was released from his and the heavenly dragon horse's bodies simultaneously. Bei clearly felt the thoughts of the heavenly dragon horse right now. That gem was like a bridge between their souls. Bei didn't know that the gems on the foreheads of heavenly dragon horses were the most important part of their bodies. Not only could they be used for offensive purposes in a fight, but they could also be used for interaction. When heavenly dragon horses reached a sexually receptive stage, a female heavenly dragon horse would accept a male heavenly dragon horse as her husband by letting their gems interact with each other. "It's now," Bai Ji reminded him from one side. Huo Yuhao recited his incantations at the same time. As he did so, the spirit transmission ritual began. On the ground, golden halos were released from the center of the magic formation. Gentle, light-type undulations started to fill the entire spirit transmission hall. The entire process wasn't just successful, it carried on very naturally. When Bei focused his spiritual power on the head of the heavenly dragon horse, there was a gentle look of recognition in its eyes. Its body was becoming weaker and weaker, but its eyes were getting brighter and brighter. The gem on its forehead released a bright light that completely engulfed Bei. Right now, Bei was like a small, golden sun. No one dared to look at him directly. Intense soul power undulations were continuously being released from his body. He immediately broke through the rank 70 bottleneck. The heavenly dragon horse started turning transparent, beginning from its tail. After this, it quickly turned into flying ash and disappeared. It didn't leave any traces behind. Bai Ji stood to one side, silently in awe. This was a perfect fusion. There were only 2 cases like this in the previous rounds of fusion. Under such a fusion, the relationship between the spirit and the soul master would become especially close. All the abilities of the soul beast could combine with the soul master, and the soul master might even be able to make his own choices. It wasn't just a random fusion anymore. The heavenly dragon horse gradually disappeared, but the light from Bei's body became extremely bright. The entire spirit transmission hall was illuminated by this golden light, and the intense light-type undulations became stronger and stronger. Bei didn't just cross rank 70. Huo Yuhao was stunned to sense that Bei's soul power kept on increasing. He wasn't at rank 70 anymore. He shot through rank 71, before rising to rank 72. He actually managed to rise by 2 ranks, before his progress tailed off. A low-pitched dragon roar was released from that ball of golden light. This dragon roar gradually became more and more resounding. As the golden light slowly retracted, a huge light projection of a golden dragon claw extended out. Following this, huge golden dragon wings opened up. When the golden light fully retreated, Bei had already turned into a huge golden dragon standing in the center of the spirit transmission hall. His 7th soul ring. Radiant Holy Dragon True Body. Bei's martial soul had finally completed a qualitative change, and became a radiant holy dragon, after he completed his perfect fusion with the heavenly dragon horse. Not only that, but something weird also surfaced on his body. On the forehead of his radiant holy dragon was an extra diamond-shaped gem, exactly the same as the gem on the heavenly dragon horse's forehead previously. Furthermore, the heavenly dragon horse didn't appear after he turned into a radiant holy dragon. It seemed to have fused completely into his body. The radiant holy dragon that Bei turned into was more than 7 meters long, with about the same wingspan. His entire body was covered with dazzling, golden dragon scales. The strength of his aura far surpassed that of Yang Feng's bone dragon. Furthermore, his radiant holy dragon secretly concealed a holy aura within the aura of light. As the golden light retracted, Bei slowly turned back into human form. When he completely turned back into human form, everyone was stunned to find that the heavenly dragon horse had appeared again. In addition, it seemed like it was completely real as it stood beside him. However, there was a huge difference between how it was before the spirit transmission and how it was now. Its body was extremely muscular now, very toned and athletic. The look in its eyes was also much more vibrant than before. There was also an extra pair of dragon wings behind its back. As they opened up, everyone could see that they were very similar to the wings of Bei's radiant holy dragon. This heavenly dragon horse had indeed evolved after its fusion with Bei, as Bai Ji had expected. This evolution made it seem real and material, even though it was now a spirit. Bei now had 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 3 black soul rings. Furthermore, there were even golden patterns on his 7th black soul ring. As he gently hugged the heavenly dragon horse's neck, Bei said from the bottom of his heart, "Thanks, heavenly dragon horse. I shall call you heavenly dragon in the future." The heavenly dragon horse nodded gently and showed deep affection for Bei. They were extremely close now. Everyone from the Tang sect could sense that Bei's abilities had greatly increased, exceeding that of most soul emperors after they became soul sages. Although they didn't know how he would fare in a fight, they could imagine that the strengthening effect the heavenly dragon horse had on him was far beyond what normal spirits could achieve. Bei brought the heavenly dragon horse to one side. It turned into a streak of flowing light and fused directly with his forehead. A golden, diamond-shaped gem instantly surfaced on his forehead, which disappeared after it flashed a few times. "Congratulations, eldest senior." Huo Yuhao smiled as he looked at Bei. Bei was also delighted. As his abilities grew, it meant that he was growing closer to success in his mission to rescue Tang Ya. After he returned from the Icefire Yin-Yang well, he had pleaded with the Great Star Do Forest for help in finding the Blue-Silver Emperor. However, the Blue-Silver Emperor wasn't in the Great Star Do Forest. Di Qian even personally sent an order for the other soul beasts to search for the Blue-Silver Emperor for him in other soul beast forests. In the world of soul beasts, he couldn't possibly find the Blue-Silver Emperor if even the God Beast couldn't. According to the God Beast, the Blue-Silver Emperor might appear in a few other soul beast habitats. Bei was waiting now. Once he got the help of the Blue-Silver Emperor, he could prepare to rescue Tang Ya. "Fourth senior, come over here." As Bai Ji mentioned that the golden tortoise would be the last to undergo the fusion, Huo Yuhao turned to Jiang Nan next. Jiang Nan nodded and walked towards Huo Yuhao with the ruby soft tendon python. The python looked at Huo Yuhao before it gently lay down on the ground. Huo Yuhao asked Jiang Nan, "Fourth senior sister, are you ready?" She smiled and replied, "Yuhao, do you need to rest?" Huo Yuhao shook his head and said, "No need. Eldest senior's fusion was very successful. I wasn't drained very much." Jiang Nan said, "All right then. I'm prepared, too. We can start." Huo Yuhao looked at the python and asked it the same question. The python then did something that astonished everyone. It ignored Huo Yuhao and instead turned its head before it started to wrap itself around Jiang Nan. Everyone was stunned, but Jiang Nan hurriedly said, "No worries. It doesn't harbor any ill intentions. Yuhao, please begin." Huo Yuhao's spiritual power engulfed them. Indeed, the ruby soft tendon python didn't exert any force on Jiang Nan even though it wrapped itself around her. Instead, it only stuck close to her. Shusansha muttered to himself unhappily as he saw this. "I hope this fellow is a female. Otherwise, I'll really be at a disadvantage." Tang Wutong was standing behind him. After hearing his words, she almost laughed. She was more amused by the fact that the golden tortoise beside Shusansha also nodded its head and seemed to agree with his words. This is indeed a case of birds of the same feather flock together. The second spirit fusion began. As Huo Yuhao recited his incantations, gentle lights rose and surrounded the ruby soft tendon python and Jiang Nan. The ruby soft tendon python wasn't like the heavenly dragon horse earlier, it didn't slowly disappear. Bright, rose-colored light slowly lit up from its body, and it gradually became more and more transparent. Even Huo Yuhao was stunned this time. He had been involved in many spirit fusions, but this was the first time he had seen something like this. The ruby soft tendon python had a huge body. When it wrapped itself around Jiang Nan's body, it was impossible to see Jiang Nan from the outside anymore. Only the python's body could be seen. Right now, its huge body actually slowly became like gelatin, and completely sealed Jiang Nan within. Its body then started to melt, and became like a transparent, rose-colored lava. As Huo Yuhao recited his incantations from the side, he also became more focused. If Jiang Nan met with any danger, he would react immediately. Fortunately, his worries were unfounded. Jiang Nan's aura became stronger and stronger inside the rose-colored larvae. As intense soul power undulations were released, her seventh soul ring slowly took form. More astonishingly, Jiang Nan's aura was like Bei's aura earlier, becoming stronger and stronger. The larvae seemed to have a life of its own and pulsed slightly to the rhythm of Jiang Nan's heartbeat. As Huo Yuhao's spiritual detection was very sensitive, he could detect that the size of the larvae was expanding slightly with every movement that it made. It was as if it was fusing with Jiang Nan's body. This was a penetrative form of fusion. Without a doubt, this was a complete fusion. It was unexpected that the cold and hostile ruby soft tendon python had actually completely accepted Jiang Nan. The pinkish halos slowly disappeared, and the python was completely fused into Jiang Nan's body as they formed a telepathic bond. As the python's body became more transparent, Jiang Nan's aura also grew stronger and stronger. All of Jiang Nan's soul rings shone extremely brightly. It was like this fusion was causing all of her soul rings to experience some form of advancement. This was something that would never happen when soul rings were ordinarily fused. The entire process was shorter than expected. When the python disappeared completely, and Jiang Nan reappeared in front of everyone, all the lights from her body had been retracted. Only her 2 yellow, 2 purple, and 3 black soul rings were shining brightly. With a thought from her, a streak of pinkish light was released from her body. It slowly took form behind her, while her body actually turned hollow before disappearing completely. The ruby soft tendon python appeared in front of everyone again. The injuries on its body had disappeared, while its aura had become much stronger than before. Its rosy red eyes were like 2 rubies, shining brightly. The python's body turned hollow again. After this went on for around 10 seconds. After this, Jiang Nan reappeared where she was earlier, and the 7 soul rings on her body strangely surfaced on the python's body instead of hers. Everyone was shocked when they saw this scene. It was indeed like Bai Ji had claimed. A ruby soft tendon python was extremely spiritual. Some miraculous change must have had happened between this python and Jiang Nan. Everyone wasn't very concerned about what this change was. They only hoped that Jiang Nan's abilities had grown stronger. The slightly hollow python didn't disappear. Instead, it slithered forward and encircled Jiang Nan before it slowly slithered its way up her. Finally, its huge head stopped behind the top of Jiang Nan's head. Its ruby-red eyes coolly watched everyone else, looking rather arrogant. Bai Ji was delightfully surprised. It seems like they're telepathically linked now. Jiang Nan, can you sense if it has learned any soul skills from you? Jiang Nan nodded gently and said, I think it has learned 3 soul skills. However, it's still comprehending them now. In the future, it might be able to learn more. Everyone was stunned after hearing her words. Spirits could actually help soul masters in a fight. If a spirit could learn a soul master's soul skills, it would be equivalent to an avatar of that soul master. Furthermore, a spirit wouldn't die unless the soul master died. Spirits relied on soul masters to survive. For Jiang Nan, it was like she had an extra life. Jiang Nan might seem the weakest among the members of Shrek's 7 monsters, but she was still considered extremely strong compared to ordinary soul masters. Her soul skills were all very strong. Whether it was her instant teleportation, gravity control, or invincible golden body, they were all very impressive soul skills. The ruby soft tendon python learned 3 of her 6 soul skills, which included at least one of these 3 divine skills. In this way, Jiang Nanan's survival abilities in the future were bound to greatly increase. This was the effect of a perfect fusion with a spirit. Everyone was happy. Not only were those from the Tang sect extremely excited, but Bai Ji was also delighted, which was very rare. She was definitely very pleased that soul beasts were able to willingly fuse with humans and become such strong spirits. This meant that the conflict between soul beasts and humans was more likely to be resolved. With such precedents, more soul masters would be attracted to the spirit pagoda and choose to use spirit transmission to replace killing soul beasts as a means of obtaining soul rings. For such perfect fusions, it was possible for a spirit to even replace 2 or even 3 soul rings. It's my turn, it's my turn. Shu Sansha quickly rushed in front of Jiang Nanan. Seeing that Bei Bei and Jiang Nanan's powers had greatly increased, how could he not be eager? Jiang Nanan smiled before retracting her spirit and conceding her position to him. Shu Sansha loudly said, "Little Junior, do you need to rest? If you aren't tired, we can start now. Elder Bai Ji, Brother Tortoise doesn't really want you to be here to watch. Do you think?" Bai Ji was a little perplexed as she looked at the golden tortoise, but it didn't look at her. It only slowly moved in front of Shu Sansha before lying down. All right. Bai Ji was very mild. If it were the Bear Lord, he would have immediately raged at such presumption. However, she readily agreed. Although she didn't know what the golden tortoise had to hide from her, at least this secret didn't come from humans. Furthermore, the golden tortoise would no longer be a soul beast after it fused with Shu Sansha. She wouldn't be able to control its future. She readily walked out and waited outside. Huo Yuhao was also a little confused. However, he wasn't worried about the golden tortoise playing any tricks. While soul beasts and soul masters shared an equal lives contract, during the process of spirit transmission, he was the one who was controlling the process. In addition, the golden tortoise was very weak. If it tried to play any tricks, it would be the one suffering instead. Shu Sansha would be fine. At most, he would have to find another spirit to fuse with. Third Senior, Golden Tortoise, I'm going to begin. The 2 of you can prepare. Shu Sansha might seem very casual, but he was in fact very similar to Bei Bei in many ways, other than his lecherous ways. The fusion was about to begin, and he quickly retracted his cheeky laughter before calming himself down. He circulated his soul power and adjusted his mentality. After a brief moment, he felt that his 3 energies were in place, and nodded at Huo Yuhao. Huo Yuhao looked at the golden tortoise, and it also nodded at him. For some reason, Huo Yuhao suddenly felt that this golden tortoise was even more intelligent than the ruby soft tendon python. It appeared much more quick-witted all of a sudden. Even in such a weakened state, it was unable to conceal the deep and contemplative look in its eyes. Huo Yuhao recited his incantations for the 3rd time. Gentle golden light surrounded Shu Sansha and the golden tortoise before starting to spread. A fusion between human and soul beast began. A huge projection of a Xuanwu shield surfaced behind Shu Sansha. The concentrated aura of water resonated with the aura of light within the formation. Gentle soul power undulations started to spread as if they were ripples in water. Huo Yuhao's recitations slowly grew more and more resounding. Shu Sansha and the golden tortoise started to connect with each other, and their equal lives contract started to take effect. This video will end here.